All right, welcome back to Squid Strengths. I'm player 164. Yep, Bryant Raymond here today with three of my closest teammates from team Henry player 178, Ryan player 293, and Brittany player 347. Now we all share this experience that was over because of 12 seconds. We're going to do a literal post-mortem of what happened, what we were thinking, what it felt like, even coming in, meeting each other. This is the fate of O. All right, let's introduce ourselves, our number, and our top 5 Clifton strengths. This is Squid Strengths after all, so we're going to talk about our strengths. So I'll start with myself. My name is, of course, Bryant. I'm player 164, and my top 5 strengths are woo, ideation, futuristic, activator, and communication.
My name is Ryan Crow, player 293 here, and my top 5 is intellection, connectiveness, input, learner, and futuristic.
I am Brittany Christoph, player 347, and my 5 strengths were communication, woo, individualization, futuristic, and strategic.
Hello, I'm Henry, player 178, and my strengths are activator, woo, positivity, empathy, and communication.
All right. Well, we're going to take a deep dive on our own strengths. We're going to see how they interplayed. How did that impact even what happened there? So, let's just get to know each other first. So Ryan, in your bio, you mentioned that although you look like a typical jock, I'm actually deep in thought. And your top 5 shows that, right? You are top intellection, connectedness, input, learner. How did that come into play with their plan coming into the game? And were you keenly aware of those strengths? And then how did that impact how you interacted with players at the start?
A lot of it is, I was kind of trying to play smaller, and it's hard as I'm 6'6" and a bigger build. So when I start talking, you kind of start understanding that I'm on this intellectual level, but I kind of want them to, play into that perception that I am this kind of just big, dumb jock, where maybe I'm not strategically thinking how I really am behind the scenes. But again, with the smaller circles that I started to talk to, the people that I really started to connect with on a genuine level, that's when you would have those more in-depth conversations. But I wanted to have that whole perception to kind of continue that jock level, so they kind of didn't really perceive me as that deeper threat. So I was trying to play small as much as I could at the beginning, at least.
How do you think that impacted the way you came into the game then, this idea of playing small, even though if you look at the photo between you and us, I look I look tiny.
No, it was definitely hard. Because I remember even when I was, we got in the dorms, walking the hall, everyone that walked by me would be like, "Oh, wow, how tall are you?" I'd be like, "No, shut up, shut up, shut your mouth, stop saying that." Because my biggest fear at first was I don't know if it's egotistical or not, but I was worried that I was going to be, that one that gets called out on an elimination in the, second or third round when people are doing that. So I was trying to hide my number as much as possible. I was not trying to be that guy that was playing too hard early on, but then again, Team O, it's my fate was already decided on that one. So maybe I should play a little bit bigger.
The fate of O.
You stuck out. I was like, pretty boy walking. That was my first impression. Look at him, a pretty boy walking.
There's not, what am I going to do there? I was just trying to hide.
It's just me hiding with my voice. There's no way. There's no way.
Oh, we heard you. So, Brittany, so you're... We heard Henry, that's for sure. Brittany, so your strengths are communication, woo, individualization, futuristic. So these are a lot of social and strategic strengths.
So I came into this game extremely strategic. And I think a lot of people wouldn't expect that from me, because I was I want to be the people pleaser, the likable person. And so I work in sales. I'm really good at reading people, and I can tell when someone doesn't want to go through with the sale, and I can tell why they don't want what I have to offer. So I think I'm really good at putting myself in other people's shoes. So I went into the game and I was just I was being myself. I was trying to put in the nice girl perspective. But people are going to go in there and they're lying. They're trying to cover up who they are. They're trying to make some story that they're not. And I was trying to pick up on who was trying to play dirty and who was like a genuine person. And like Henry, super easy. I knew Henry was genuine the whole way through. Like she was so easy to read. But there were a lot of other people that I was like, what are you like? People were hiding stuff and you could tell that they're like trying to diss questions. Then they were getting their stories all crossed. And it's like, okay, what are we saying here? Like people were talking different careers and random stuff. And then you'd ask them about it and they were kind of like perplexed.
You say
by
you
it.
were
So
in sales, like when someone would say something to you? Did you
No.
say okay? Because like
I didn't tell people.
I'm business development as well in a different field, but I remember one of the first conversations I had was with it was Harry, I believe, and I go, oh yeah, I'm in business development. He's like, oh, so you're in sales, so you know how to like manipulate people really well. I was like, shit, shut up, like no,
Oh
stop.
yeah.
So
I didn't tell
I was
anybody that.
reframing everything of how I was going to present myself. So that's why I was
Yeah.
here. Yeah, sales is not a good thing.
Yeah.
You're
So
not-
my title is marketing and business development manager. So I'm
yeah.
like head of business development in my company. And I was like, well, I'm not telling anybody I'm in sales. I'm good at manipulating. That's like a secret talent. I don't want to say too much on that, but I feel like I'm pretty good at reading people. So I was like, I'm coming in here. I'm going to play it safe, but I'm like going to pay extra close attention to all of these people because I know that some of it's not going to add up. So I went in really strategically, and it's kind of unfortunate that I didn't get to pan out some of the strategies, but I had like notes mentally in my head too. And I'm like, okay, what are these people telling me? And then I'm going to catch them in a lie later on and see what they're trying to hide. That was my strategy. I was going to be like the quiet analyzer of the group.
You were quiet, so I didn't know how to read you sometimes. So you're doing good on that one, that's for sure.
I was trying to be careful with what I said. I didn't want to, I tend to be an overtalker. I'm pretty chatty. So I was like, I have to like calm myself down and like listen more than I speak. So that's what I was trying to do.
No wonder we got along in the same way. I think when we saw each other in a dorm, I think I felt that. Well, what's interesting is Brittany just mentioned she was keeping track of the secrets. Henry and I did keep a secret in the game because Henry is my partner. So I want you to first talk about how that was like coming in. Did you, Ryan and Brittany, have any idea, first of all? But I think people want to know. Were we secret?
No idea. I feel like I can read that shit so good sometimes, and I had no idea. And I
had no
ended up
idea
with both you guys in individual conversations though, and so like, yeah, I was so because like I got along Henry, the way his brain was working was like, you know, when like people just you don't have to explain too many things at once, like we just kind of were on the same wavelength, so we were hitting it off on that. And so we were good. Like I thought we had such a good connection that I was never even thinking about that he had a better connection with someone else in here. No, I had no idea. No idea. No idea.
That's so funny. I also had no idea, which it's super funny because when we got into the dorms, me and Bryant were talking about like strategy. And we're like, there was a time we were talking about different people, like, what do we think about this person? What do we think about this person? And I didn't say it, but I almost did. I almost said something about Henry to Bryant. And I was going to be like, Henry's a really great guy, but I think we've got to keep an eye on him because I think he's too much of an empath. And I was like, he is not going to be cutthroat because he's going to be a really good ally. And it was like later on, that's going to be our advantage. But I didn't say any of that. And then later on, when I found out Brian and Henry were together, I was like, oh my God, like I could have totally been crap talking.
Oh no, that was bound
to
to
his
have
face.
happened at
That
one point.
read
too.
is
Like, it was
crazy.
Oh yeah, that would have been so.
Yeah. No, I really did. I was like, I got to watch out for Henry. I was like, he's a great friend to have, but like, he's going to be too empathetic. And if it's going to come down to like me and Henry versus two other people or however that's going to go, that might not help me because I don't know if he can be cutthroat. So, I mean, it's a great quality to have, but
Brian was more of the behind the scenes. Like, I don't know what he was scheming with the social game sometimes. At least Henry, I like kind of knew. I mean, he was out there a lot. And, like, kind of knew what he was doing. Brian, I was like, I have no, he might have 900 other like alliances going for all I know right now. Like, I know he's good with me, but do I know? No, I don't know.
Yeah. That's too funny.
I love. First of all, they read you like a book. You know, positivity, empathy. Yeah, how do you feel like that, Mr. Ball of Energy?
That read, holy crap! I'm trying to gather myself because what Brittany just said, kind of like, holy crap. I think, you know, going into the game, right? I knew already that I cannot hide. even when I try to be a different person, I'm always authentically myself. So there's no way for me to ever cover any of that. So going in, there's like playing a second different person that's not me and not genuine was not in my playbook. So that was never going to be the case. So my strategy was really be who I was, which is, I make friends pretty easily. I treat everyone respectfully unless they do something to me. It's just like stay positive. I'm just like I more of a comes as it goes. And when things happen, I know how to pivot quickly. I easily adapt to the environments very quickly. Once I know the situation, I assess and address, and then I take action. And so that's kind of how I went into the gameplay. But I already knew because me and Brian had a gameplay going in where we're going to play the covert, right? So I knew at the end, if I was lucky enough to get to the end, if it were to take who was going to get to the end, I would take myself out to save Brian if that ever had to be the case. But for me, I just know that in life, it's just going to be more about be good and luck will come your way. Because a lot of the game is all about luck. And so you have to keep the good relationships, right? So maybe in the lucky chance, the person who I'm meeting, either Ryan or Brittany, whoever it may be, they'll save me, help me because we built a relationship and that a genuine one.
I do think it's really important to have like your values also align with your gameplay. Like you want to watch it and you want to like leave the game knowing you feel good about what you did and you didn't do anything that like feels heavy on yourself that you're like, why did I do that to somebody else? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, clearly you have to play the game. You have to put yourself before everybody else because no one wants to hand the $4.56 million over to somebody else. But at the same time, I think it's really important to stay true to your values and morals and feel good about the decisions you made to get where you got.
Were you guys trying to play like the social game together, or you guys get to split off and kind of build your the Brian alliance, the Henry alliance, or because it seemed like at the conversation we had, we all were kind of close in one.
Divide and conquer.
I think that's a good
We're going to be divide and conquer.
We're gonna get to why we chose O together. And that actually is a huge question that we've debated the entire year. Should we have split up? Well, we're going to talk about that. I think this makes it for a very intriguing episode of Squid Strengths. All right. So now let's go into Act 2. This is the moment that when we walk in, I remember seeing just this pink corridor. So I think a lot of us were initially thinking that's going to be red light, green light, right? We're going to go and see that. No. And no. Instead, we walk straight in and it's the dorm. Immediately you see the X and the O on the floor. It's on. It's loud. Everyone is just excited. You can feel the energy. It's very palpable, right? So we're going to talk about why we ended up on Team O. So Ryan, you've mentioned in your story before that our fate seemed to be determined since we're going to go with our friends. So the show shows the front man coming in telling us, well, let's now come together and decide, pick X's and O's. So when you got into that dorm, there was 456 of us, but you didn't pick us at random. So what was the vibe like? What did you see in us that eventually got us together?
I feel like I have a very good sense of, if I'm going to be authentically myself and being genuinely myself, I could feel other people's energies of how that's bouncing off, what frequency they're at. So I know when someone's trying too hard to either impress or be a different person. So like it was very easy to kind of quickly determine who you were going to kind of vibe with. And I'm telling you, I didn't believe, like when you watch like a reality dating show, there's no way these people are connecting that quickly, but it's wild. Like you connect with these people so quickly because you're going through such a unique experience together that it's unexplainable until you've really gone through it. And it was just really easy to kind of determine who you were going to kind of ride or die with. Don't get me wrong, you had a wider group that you knew, like, okay, I got to really dwindle that down. Who was going to be, the top 5, top 8 even, but you kind of just bonded really quickly and you just go with that vibe of what you're feeling. And so that's just what I did. And it happened so quickly. So it really didn't take much.
Here's a funny story. Walking into that dorm, I think because I was just so like, oh my God, so overwhelmed. I had this preconception in my head. It was following season 2, which was, it's going to be red light, green light. So I'm going in there, I'm just like, just see all the dorm beds. I'm just so much is going on that I didn't even realize there was an X and an O on the floor. I literally, my brain literally did not see that. Like, it just didn't see that. I just saw people. And once I got in, I was just like, yeah, I just started talking to people, yada, yada, yada. I swear to God, I did not realize that X and O was on the floor. I really didn't realize that. So the funny thing is, like, I was actually operating at maybe 50% of where I would be socially. In my head, I was trying to conserve energy if we're going to do red light, green light. That was my brain going on. That's what was going on in my brain. Naiveness. So, like, I thought we're going to do red light, green, just putting us in this room. I didn't know the game has already started. But when I realized the game has started, like, oh crap. And that's when I started pivoting. I'm like, okay, what I gotta do? Like what's gonna happen now? I gotta talk to Bryant. We have to make sure what our gameplay is going to be at this point. And it's kind of like, that was all going on in my head. But it took a bit because I was just like, wow. And then that was what was going on in my head.
I think I was next to you though when we started like deciding X or O, and you kept flip-flopping on like Eastern philosophy ideology of like what an X represented, one O, and like you sold yourself on the O, and then you sold yourself back on the X. I was like, okay, now I'm more confused with what I want to do, Henry. We gotta stick with one of these here. And so we kept going back and forth because you were just like talking out loud. Like, it was so funny.
I love that yours are recapping. I love that yours are recapping things that have interaction with you, because I don't remember a lot. That's the problem. If you say something and then it would trigger a memory, and then yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you black
That's
out.
how I am too. Like, I feel like I was so high on emotions that like I black stuff out. Like, I'm like, oh, that did happen.
Well, when I walked in, you're just flooding with dopamine. Like, I remember just my head just being in this complete high, like it's never been in before, where like you're looking around. I mean, it is like Willy Wonka in here right now, and you feel like you're in a dreamland, and it's so surreal that
that's so exactly what I was gonna say.
I was just smiling. I couldn't stop smiling the whole time. Like, it was insane right now.
It was a feeling you really couldn't explain. Like, you knew you were going to run into a set. Like, and everyone thought it was red light, green light. But as soon as I saw the dorms, like, I could probably get chills just thinking about how I felt in that moment. Like, it was just like, holy crap. Like, you're running into a set of a show you've watched. And like, this is the real thing. Like, you're about to do it. And it was just like, everybody's also on that same like dopamine high. And everyone's just like, oh my God, we're in here. And it's like, yeah, we are. And then everyone just started like feeding off of each other's energies. And it was just like, it was a crazy experience.
It turned into a video game.
So when you were talking about like watching other reality shows, you're like, oh wow, like how are these people like so connected? I was also the same way. Like, I'm like, you just met these people like a couple hours ago. But I don't want to say trauma bond, but it is such a unique experience. And then like, you're also disconnected from your friends and family. Like, most of us were in there like completely by themselves. So it was like, okay, I need to find somebody that I can like confide these emotions into and find like validation in how I'm feeling, and someone to like talk through some of these thoughts and emotions. So I think like everyone's just like searching for somebody that they can like have those connections and bonds with, that you just like progress the relationship so quickly. Though watching back, that's like 15 minutes. We were really in there for, hours before, like talking to other people. Filming that scene too took hours. Like, it was a really long, drawn out process. So like when we picked X and O's, I was like, I cannot separate from these people. Like, these are my best friends. Like, so crazy to think too, because like I've only known you a couple hours, but like, it's like, I really don't want to play without you. Like, I don't know the people that are over there that well. Everyone that I've made these strong connections with are on O. So like, to me, like, it was a no brainer. Like, I would have, when they said like, we need some people to go over to X's, I was like, there is no way. Like, these are my people. These are who I'm going to do this with. And like, it's crazy because it's like, oh, I just met you guys. Why am I so strongly feeling that way? But you're like so connected to everybody in there that it's kind of crazy that relationships progress that fast when you're put into those kind of environments.
So I want to talk about us actually entering together, right? So the vibe we had together. So first of all, Brittany, I remember very clearly you, me, and Alicia we ended up in the bathroom. I think everyone was just like looking around like in awe. And there was a moment, at least, I guess I got used to, you get used to these cameras so quickly. It's really crazy. Like, there's like literally hundreds of cameras around you, and within like a few minutes, it's just like whatever. To the point where like talking to the camera.
Out the door.
So I remember there was a moment where us three were like in the corner, like there's like literally a camera right in front of us. And you're like, this is the 3 in the bathroom.
Oh, I forgot I was mic'd up like 10 minutes in. I was like, oh shit, oh, this is gonna be bad.
Oh, I know.
No. That was
I
not
can't
good.
imagine being in there long term either. Because after a couple
Yes.
hours, I'm just like, oh, and that person said this, and that I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm like the drama starter. Like
Oh,
if
that
they
was not
air
good.
this stuff.
So I remember us vibing together. Henry and I had a moment. So I guess why don't we discuss some of the couple things that we did that obviously did not make the edit. That this is the director's cut, right? So we can do that. So obviously we entered, I think, similar times. Maybe one of us entered like the group right before. We came in groups like 20 each. Obviously there's like 450 of us. And once we all got together, we seemed to find a corner. I think it's like that corner on the very edge of the O side. It's like we ended up with the O's in the front. And it was us 4, a few others, and I think we then were like, oh, let's go explore. So Henry and I go and we're like, oh, we want to take a look at the bathroom, like, you know, the showers and all that. Very curious. So we walk in, and you know how there's a corridor and there's like a corner? Like there's like a diagonal, right?
Yeah.
So in that split second, literally in that split second, Henry is walking maybe about 5 feet behind me. I see there's nobody coming from either end. So I give him a quick peck on camera.
Yeah, were you guys gonna keep doing that throughout the games? Like just a quick like ass slap or like something as you guys like
Oh, we
just
would have.
so
I think,
no one
I think
sees
it's the fun
besides,
part
like,
of it,
you wanna
right? I'm
show
like,
it on
can
the-
how much can we get away with it, right? Like, no one actually knew. But if we get
That
caught
would
up
be
in a
so
different
fun.
story, like, come on, if that was the whole thing,
Yeah.
being covert, if we can get away being a little bit PDA, but in a so many eyeballs watching, that's like the ultimate, like, got it. Like, if we got far enough and we still were able to hide the secret, now been fucking crazy.
Do you
Only
imagine how
takes-
cool
only
that would
takes
be
one
though? If
person
it
to
like,
see that though, and it's getting spread.
well, yeah, that's what I was going to
Like,
say. Like if it was later on and someone caught that, like it'd be like,
Yeah, I don't
what's
I don't
going
think
on
I would
here?
do that like that was the only moment where I knew we could get away with something like that like close.
But if someone was looking for it, I think you could start stacking stuff against you guys. But honestly, I don't even know if I would have caught that. I just been like, oh, like, you know, they're just,
There's
you know,
just so much,
looking out
like,
for each other.
chaos going on and just so much in your head going on at that first, like you're just trying to figure out what was even happening.
And you knew a game was coming. Like there was no way that we were all just gonna like there weren't enough beds. And like you know that they're not gonna throw us in here and just have us sit here all day. Like there's gonna be a game. But then it was like, are they gonna take us to red light, green light? Are they gonna
don't
take us
know.
to something else? Like it was just like a mental game. Like,
Yeah.
okay, do I want to eat right now? Because am I about to like starve myself because it's gonna be hours? Or am I gonna be running?
We were so far in like filming that I was like, I don't even know if I want to do red light, green light anymore. Like I was so
That's-
prepared going in, but then
I
at
was
one point
saving
I was like,
I was saving my energy. So at one point,
Dude,
I was
same
actually
part,
just
like-
starting to
That's
sit
what-
down a little. I was sitting down a bit more than I would actually like socialize. It's like
Yeah.
actually socialize.
my
I was
back is
sitting
like,
down.
I don't know.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
how I thought. And I didn't sleep. Like I barely slept before
No.
we went in. So once we got in there, I was like, okay, quick siesta time. Like I'm gonna have to start running. Like, can I do this right now?
That was like 5 a.m. wake up call, right? Well, okay, so now we're here. We've got to know each other for a few hours. We're literally physically on the O side. I think a lot of us were actually up in the corner. Like we went up to the beds, and then there was like this kind of bridge up in the corner. So we're all just hanging out up there. And I actually remember this very vividly. There was a moment where those doors just opened, those doors right in front, and we were all up there. So we had a really good view from the top. And it's the freaking front man and all those guards. Do you remember that moment? That first moment that door opened?
Oh, perfectly.
Tell me what you were thinking, what was going
I
through
think
your
my
head.
jaw physically dropped. I remember like it was already like so surreal, but this was like a couple hours after we've already
Yeah.
been there. So it started to like calm down. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is our new normal for however long. And then like the doors opened and the guards walked out. And I do remember my jaw like literally physically dropped. I was like, oh crap. Like they look real. They had the front man like in the black suit. And I was like, oh, why is he here? Like, and you knew something was about to go down, but you didn't know what it was. So it was like, okay, this is so exciting. Like I'm witnessing this firsthand, but also what's the twist? What's about to happen here? Like, am I prepared for what they're about to tell me?
Yeah, I think it just like set the tone of like even like Henry said, like you walk in here and on, you're not realizing the game really began when you walk into the door, but like when they walked out, you're like, oh shit, okay, now we're beginning, even though we had already begun.
We're
way
playing already.
before,
Yeah, we're
but
playing.
it set that tone though, and you were like, just like, okay, now I got to mentally lock in. I was kind of just playing this social fun game for a while. Now it's like, no, this is real right now.
Yeah, it's game time. Yeah.
I remember there was that moment, and then right when they turned around, they left one thing on stage. You remember what they left on stage? The button. We didn't know what that thing did.
Was that on the stage?
Mhm. That thing was the clue.
I don't remember that. See, I don't even
That
remember
was
that.
that was the clue.
Well, you didn't know what
You
it
didn't
was.
know what it was.
You couldn't.
You had
tell
no
it.
idea
Button.
what it is.
Yeah,
It could have been literally it could have been a Dalgona thing inside. We didn't know it was a button per se, but we knew it was like a circular object.
On the speculation that came out after that, like everyone's like, I don't know, maybe there's a cookie in there. Like maybe
It
there's
could have
like
been.
everyone's just speculating different things, but it was
It's crazy to see how people overthink in there. Like,
so many.
everyone's
And we
going
being
like
one
a
of them.
million different directions. And then if you're easily persuaded too, it's like, oh, it's this, oh, it's this, oh, it's this, oh, it's this. And then it's like rumor city when you have 456 people like making something up.
I think it's like at this point I knew like the X and O was a thing now in my head. Like I just started piecing everything together. Oh shit, it's about to go down. And then my first thought was like, we had to make this decision. Like shit, our gameplay is gonna be who's go on what. Are we going to together or we're gonna go separate? Because it's all about like in gaming, it's all about probability, right? If we want to go for $4.56, we would have to split. Want us to at least get further through. Right, so that was like a whole thing going on in my head. Like, what the hell? What we're going to be doing?
And we had to do this very covertly.
Something I thought that was really interesting that they cut out of that episode, which in a sense, like your gameplay worked really well for you. But when we were in there, when they asked for volunteers, they wanted people with pre-existing relationships. Like it was like the twins, mother-daughter, sisters. There was the father and his daughter. First off, you two, no one would ever been like, hey, you two get up there. Like if that would have been something where they did split every single alliance up, like you guys would have been cleared because nobody had any idea you two were even together. But they edited that out of the episode, which I'm sure there's reasons why they did that. But so I thought it was going to be like they were going to force everybody with a pre-existing relationship to play rock, paper, scissors -1.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, they're going to split everybody up as soon as we get in here. And I was like, that is so drama. Like, that's so good. And then that didn't happen. And it was like, okay, pick a twin. And it's like, pick a twin? Like, I don't know anything about these two.
I still don't even know which one did we have to. I don't know the name still.
Wait, I talked to them. I talked to them when we were like circling around. And I was talking to the one, and I couldn't tell you which one it was, but I was talking to the one, and the other one came up, and I was like, oh, you're a twin? They're like, oh, yeah. And they were telling me about how they're like influencers in the UK, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like the briefest interaction. And it's so funny that it's like those two twins determined my entire fate of that game. And who are these
The
guys?
fate of O.
You really did have a 50-50 chance. Like there's no way to tell you which is the better twin, which one was going to have better leadership skills. You didn't realize that they were going to have to lead a
You could
team.
clearly tell
And
though.
then-
You could clearly tell afterwards though, just by whatever they showed on TV, that you can clearly tell who had leadership skills. They're definitely not the same.
Oh, 100%. Our room was so like there were too many leaders.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that point.
That was the problem.
We'll get to that. That's, I think, the juicy part. It's already spicy. It's a half hour into it. We're already getting spicy. It's going to get spicier here on Squid Strengths. All right. So, okay. Actually, that's a good point. We're going to get to that point right there where that was the first thing the front man said, right? Now, that was left out. That with pre-existing relationships. Now, Henry and I did after the fact talk about should we have volunteered? I always stick to no. And also when you talk about probability, I'm thinking about 3 steps ahead. I'm thinking about mingle. Like I want my probability to be amazing at mingle. And if he and I are together with a locked in core group, that is way more important than just us splitting up between X and O.
Well, you guys had the advantage that people didn't know about you. Obviously, like twins or like, there was other pre-existing ones that like people clearly just knew from sight that they were together. So like, you guys had to play that a little bit further along into the game for sure. Like hindsight, you can't look back and say you would have outed yourself that early on. No way.
Or split up.
I think it would have been hard too to like restart because I feel like even though you couldn't tell, like there were multiple like groups alliances in each side.
Yeah.
So if one of you went to the other side, you're starting fresh.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
already these groups that are together. So it comes to the next game, like when they were like, I can't even remember what they did this season, but like they were voting random people out. If they did that, they'd be like, oh, well, like we really barely know Bryant or we barely know Henry.
It's
Like
literally
they
what
just
say, yeah.
ran over to this side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wouldn't have been, who knows where that could have gone. Like you could have gone that, but then you might have struggled to get into an alliance because they already formed.
Well, 100%. I mean, I remember at one point it felt like I was looking around and I was like, this feels like a jail cell, and everyone's got their own like little like cliques over here, right? Like you got the cool
Yeah.
kids over
Well,
here sitting up top, like
I think-
judging
I think the-
everyone. You got like
I think the funny thing, went through my head. It's like 50-50 is like 4.56 amount of populated is very, very small. 50-50 chance I get more screen time or at least get to play another game. Should I ditch Bryant or not? That's what went through my head.
Yeah, fair point.
That's so funny.
Well, we're barely at like the first minute of what they show on TV.
I was going to say too, like, I also think it's so exhausting to like introduce yourself to everybody there.
Oh, yeah.
Like after you like introduce to so many people, like to me, I know myself, I was like, I can't go on this other side of the room and just do that all over again. Like I feel really good about the people over here. I'd rather get stronger connections with these people than know everybody here at a smaller level. So that was just like, I was like, I'm done. I found people I like. I found people I connect with. Like, this is who I'm sticking with.
I'm a very sociable person, but as far as like when it comes to like small talk, that shit just drains my energy. Like I'm
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that is
I'm
actually
not
very
gonna
true.
do this.
That is very, very
Mhm.
true.
It was-
I felt
That's
the
why
same
I started.
way.
Well,
I started not
exhausting.
shutting down. Yeah, it was exhausting, right? Hello, like a bajillion times. Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
it was a lot.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, there was a lot that happened that you didn't even see on screen because, well, we had to get to know each other very quickly to the point where now our fate is in the hands of two volunteers. And as Brittany mentioned, they asked us, well, we need to bring people up who have pre-existing relationships. Henry and I did give each other a glance, and I think I just nodded like this.
He said, he's like,
I'm just nodded like this, like
No.
this, like I did, and that did replay in my mind. I'm like, but I think it would have blew up our game because then it's the fact that well
too early. It was too early.
we didn't reveal this from the very beginning. Like the father-daughter, for example, like they were like immediate. And you don't necessarily think they're father and daughter. You know, the twins are obvious. So like the father-daughter were immediate. So like it's either you reveal it immediately or you got to keep that secret to the end. There's no way around it. And if someone finds out, they better be somebody you trust. Now we're supposed to divide equally. So I know everybody's been waiting. Why the heck were we O's? Why did we stay as O's? What did you feel about when you even looked across the room? I definitely had a feeling. What did you feel when you saw the people that were already kind of like congregating on the X side? And why were you ended up like, no, we're going to stay on the O side?
For me, it
feel
was
like-
like a no-brainer. I don't think I ever wanted to be an X. I was already standing over there. I already knew all the people over here. To me, like blue and O seem like even numbers. Like make that make sense. Might be my synesthesia or whatever. But like I feel good about blue. I feel good about an O. Like an X, just X and red seem negative to me.
Negative, exactly.
And I was
the
like,
same,
I already know
same.
all these people. So I was like, I'm locking into this O and I'm not second guessing myself. I'm just going to like fully ride it and have faith that this is where I'm supposed to be and that what's supposed to happen will happen. And I came to terms with my decision like almost immediately. And I was like, I'm not going back on this. Like, this is where I'm staying. I'm not going to sit here and overthink this. Like, I'm an O.
Yeah, it was interesting
Energetic-
too. Like
Go ahead.
obviously you were around the people that you got along with, but it was also like that's where we congregated was like on that side and on that area. So, like,
Naturally.
that was already decided just based on where we were
Yeah.
standing and talking the whole time.
It's
I'm
true.
like, I was never gonna
That's
move
true.
over to X. The only thing that I wish I would have maybe considered is like, hey, the good guys in the real Squid Games is that Team X. Like maybe that would have, but I wasn't gonna move on my own. Like, but otherwise, yeah, I was fully favorite colored blue. Like it felt negative on the
All
X.
the
It
all
really
the fun
did.
people
Yeah,
were
it
O's,
did.
even on the drama.
I also think like no, it's really true.
Yeah.
Like fading off, like going off what Brittany says. It was like X is like a no, it's red. That's not how like even in like Japanese, like it's like O means good. You like this is like it's to go, but like the energy on the O side in itself, the reason why we're all on that side, like the loud people, swear to God, we're all on this side of the room already. We're all congregated because you felt the energy on that side. Like there, like you literally can see all the personalities all on this side. We had all those characters all on one side of the room already. And then I think that energy on that side is like, okay, this is like a fun grip. I felt like we're just all there already. Like that. And I just like also as little lazy. I don't want to get up and move.
It is weird that we congregated there naturally. Like you walked in, we could have went anywhere. And we all were just like, this is the side I'm on. Like, it's just like, it kind of fate really decided for us without us realizing we were making that decision.
We didn't even know we were choosing a side, but just the fate of, we just literally stuck. I think I was there 90% of the time. I felt like I was going to foreign territory, just going onto the X side of the floor.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes, yes.
It really did.
No, because you can only
the
go
line
so
was drawn.
Yes, because you can only go so far. Like outside of going to the bathroom and stuff like that, right? You can only go so far saying hi to people, right? By the time you turn left and right, you say hi to one person. You're still on one side, unless you like physically move to the other side. You're kind of just saying hi to everyone around you in that side already. So you got to know the people in that area. So at that point, you built like your subconscious built a bond with people around you.
We were playing against each other. Yeah. I didn't know it was going to be that. That's for sure. I thought it was going to be more of a actually matched up, like 1-on-1 against one of the X's and one of the O's, where I kind of had my game to play against one of the X's, and didn't know my whole fate of the O's was in the hands of absolute chaos. But that's how it played out, and it was an experience, to say the least.
Well, okay, so eventually the button shows up right in the middle of the dorm. So they tell us, well, now it's time to figure out what to do, because all you gotta do is count. That's what they tell us. All you gotta do is count to 456 seconds. And whichever team gets closest wins, and the other one is eliminated. Eliminated. Oh, you're good. You're good. Ryan, you mentioned that right when that happened, and I think you see literally just a smidget of this in the show, but I want you to go as deep as you want in this. You called out that our room was complete chaos, was full of egos. All of us are high influencing strengths among us, but also some strategic thinking, relationship building. So Ryan, you're very much a strategic thinker. You must have saw the dynamics and also kind of played it in your mind, what was happening.
The first thing you noticed is that you saw that he didn't really have a grasp on the room. And when I say he, the twin, our captain.
Yeah, 431.
It was chaos. There was so much egoic, just people yelling it. And I don't know how anyone would have really handled that. But that was the first thing that I initially saw. So I wanted just the room to be managed a little better, because you think you have 228 or whatever, people in a room, that collectively you guys could at least come up with some good ideas. And then, by process of elimination, decide that. Instead, it just felt like he kind of got a little ego hungry with it, of like, no, I have this power. I am the captain. I am going to decide what's going to happen, without even really hearing out any of the other logical answers. So that was my frustration. That's what I'm yelling at it. At one point, I'm yelling. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Like, I was actually saying we need to get more people involved, and at least have the numbers game of like a median average of when 10 people are counting, they all raise their hand when they're done. And at least we have some. Probably wasn't even the right method, but I wanted him to at least like hear out more opinions of what was going on, instead of just saying like, we got a nurse over there who's like frantically trying to figure out counting, and she goes around saying like, hey everyone, like, you guys can't be mad at me for this. I'm like, oh, that's a great freaking attitude to go into this, that she doesn't even think she's gonna do well. She should have been bounced right in that second. So it's like, I just wish the room would have been managed a little bit better.
We're so stuck on that idea, like on that nurse. We're just so stuck on like why we just never changed. It's really crazy.
So I don't know that. I don't know this for sure, but like someone told me like it's actually like 100 beats per like minute, or 100.
Well, it is 100 beats per minute.
Yeah, per, like
100 beats per minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't even line out.
Before we get to the nurse, right? Because like there were a number of things happening. I remember, and you do hear Corey also mentioned, but I remember also immediately my mind was musician. That was the immediate, once they said we need a musician. And it just so happened, literally, remember I told you there were groups, about 20 of us have entered. I was sitting next to 350, my man Roger. And Roger has, well, he's been teaching music for the last, 3 decades. So I literally go up to Roger and I was like, Roger, you're a musician. You need it. I literally pushed him. They didn't show that. They showed someone pointing at Roger. They didn't show him going all the way up. And then Tasha, you did see the girl with the bun, and she has perfect timing. She's been a singer since she was 7. And I know this because I talked to her afterwards. What happened there? What do you think happened? And then I don't even know where the nurse came in, to be very honest. She just eventually showed up and started doing this. And I was like, where the heck did she come from? You see the X's and you see on their edit, obviously we didn't know what they were doing, but I said afterwards, watch, they got a musician, it was quiet, and they were just counting accurately, and that's exactly what happened. What do you think happened? Like, what do you think led to our dysfunction in our room?
See, I think it's really important to know when to be a leader and when to be a follower. And I'm not saying, like, clearly in Squid Games, when you're competing for $4.56 million, you want to be a leader and you want to control your own fate. But when you have a game like that and there's 228 people, everybody can't get a word in. Everybody can't, there's not the time. We had 7 minutes to prep something. And it was so much chaos because too many people wanted to be leaders. And the one person who should have taken control and been an actual authoritative leader and did it in a proper manner was the twin. And I think he was just overwhelmed and didn't know what to do. Yeah. And I remember I was clocking certain numbers because I can still tell you, I don't know if I should say his number, but there was one kid and I had his number in my head and I was like, the first time I get a chance to eliminate somebody, it's going to be him. Not because I think he's a bad person, but he would not let anyone get a word in. Anytime someone tried to do something, he was screaming, yelling over it. And it's can you not recognize that this isn't a good strategy? What you're doing is just creating more chaos. I think there was so much chaos happening that he couldn't figure out who to listen to. And I remember that Jacket and Roger were we're both musicians, we both count. And the girl with the bun or whatever, she was I'm a musician, I sing, all this other stuff. And that seemed to be the plan. But the twin didn't want to clock it and be okay, this is the plan we're going with. He was just all over the place.
Musician thing even though, because it was so chaotic in that room that he didn't even hear that. That was never even an option for him to
And then that other guy came up and I just remember he came up right by where we were standing and he was she's a nurse, she can do the compression, she's a nurse, she does this every day. And then someone was we have to make a decision now, the time is running out. And we had no concept of, there's not there was a timer. It's you have 1 minute to decide. You had no idea when they're going to be okay, now you're starting. So someone's we have to make this decision now. And I think that he was the loudest person closest to when someone said, hey, the time's about out. Yeah. And I think the twin was just panic mode and was okay, you do it. I think that there was no thought and strategy hey, this would go this way, this would go this way. I think it was I need to make a decision now. That's the last thing I heard. That's the loudest person here. That's what we're doing.
Well, I don't know. That's another element to it of even getting a musician up there is if the chaos would have been calmed down and maybe we had, the jaunty of yelling some freaking, thing to get everyone on page or whatever. And then maybe we say that maybe the musician's willing to go up there at that point, but with the chaos going around, he's not going up there at that point because you can't get a word in. It's just absolute chaos. He doesn't want to be, there's so much other that of the element of Squid Game that you sometimes don't want to put yourself out there when it is the chaos. So we shot ourselves in the foot to start off that we couldn't even just be normal humans and check our egos for a little bit to just get a word in. So it was a mess.
That's also a lot of responsibility to put on someone. I'm sure they were this is really important. I do this right. I don't want to be the person that does this to all these people.
I don't know if I added to the chaos or not, because I was a little vocal. But if you see in the actual show, right, you see me pointing to Jacket, he can count to 100 perfectly. He can count to 100 perfectly. Okay. Their context, right? For anyone is context, okay? So I got to know Jacket a little bit, right? And at that point, I trusted him, right? That he can actually do it. So I just like promoted him. Hey, he can actually count to 100. And that's all I did. I don't know if that added to the chaos or not, because you can see at the end, my decision to push him up somewhere, or at least boost, just give him confidence that he can do it. I don't know.
We'll get to that.
Our downfall.
We'll get to that point at the end of this game, but I think that was so here's the clip of Henry saying, well, he can count to 100.
He counts to 100 perfectly. He
Let me
counts to
talk
100
to you.
perfectly.
This is one thing that I trained.
I think that's your activator number one, but you're also positivity. Like you want to get things going, but you also see the best in people.
Just go back to what Brittany said, right? After but giving my 2 cents, and then that was it, right? And then I just stay quiet after that. Like there's no need to go any more crazy, right? Right?
They didn't show the part that I actually talked to Corey to bring him back down of like, it's not worth it. Nobody's going to hear it. Corey's the one that was saying, hey, we need a musician. He played this game before.
431. Ask if anybody's a musician in the
I had already gone up there yelling at the twin, and then I came back down. And so I actually came and told him, I was like, dude, it's not even worth it. But I wish I would have never said that. I wish he would have just freaking bulldozed up there and got that through. So glad they didn't show that part either.
Yeah.
I do remember too when the twin picked the strategy, and he was like, oh, these two women are going to count in their head and they're going to raise their hand when they get to 456. I instantly thought this is the stupidest thing because it's not going to work. Because how do you know? What if those people were like 50 seconds apart? And because Ada counted out loud, but the plan was to count in her head. Well, what if Ada lifts her hand and the other one's still counting? Now you have literally zero, nothing to go off of because they're counting in their head. Like one could be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have no idea. They're counting in their head. And how do you pick a person when they're counting inside their heads? Like it didn't make any sense to me. And I was like, oh no. And then Ada made her big old speech, which I got my line in there where I'm like, oh no, we believe in you. And I'm like,
please do not blame us if we do not make it.
No.
We must keep the confidence. You got this. You got
No. Yeah, she made
my claim to fame.
So what was going through your mind there?
But it was just like,
just trying to appease.
I was with Henry. I wanted Jacket to do it. And I knew Jacket a little bit from talking to him. But the thing that stood out to me with Jacket compared to everybody else is everyone's like, we need a musician. This person can do it. We need somebody that does this. We need somebody to do this. Jacket was the only person, at least that I heard, that was like, I can do it.
That's exactly.
So confident in himself.
Yes.
And he is willing to put all the responsibility on himself. And I was like,
yes.
He wouldn't do that if he didn't know he could do it. Yes. And even if he didn't do it, he was so confident that he could have faked his way through it. So I was like, oh, no.
I was attracted to confidence. I was attracted to confidence. Yeah. That's exactly what he said. I was attracted to confidence.
Henry, you're standing by me. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jacket kept saying over and over again, he's like, I can do this. I can do this. I trained for this. I can do it. I can count to 100 perfectly. And everybody else is like, we need this. We need this. And it was like, we need somebody else. But Jacket was the only person that I heard was like, I can do it. Me.
What does that mean? I train for this though. Like what are we talking about?
He was on his Instagram story the other day and I was cracking up. He's so funny. He said that he was playing red light, green light in a soccer field for hours. Like he would do it for like 6 hours at a time. And he would count when he was pausing. So he would because when season 1 said that it took like forever to film, he's like, I would go in the middle of the night into a soccer field and he was like, and I would run and then I would stand there and count the seconds to tell myself how long to stay there before I would start running again.
Like cold rain.
Was he tracking the seconds?
He was. And he said that
was he tracking?
Yes. And he said he had headphones in. Yeah. And he said he had headphones in and he was playing gunshots so he would stop himself from flinching. And I was like, oh, this poor boy did the absolute most. And he didn't even get to play.
See? Look, I felt it. I told you, I could feel it. I knew it. See, God. See? That, the only one that felt confident, right? As going back to the nurse, she wasn't confident at all. I don't put my trust in someone, they're not confident. They will never exude, succeed at something because they're not confident in what they're doing. And that set the tone.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why
I agree.
That's why, when Brittany even said, no, we believe in you. It's like after she says that, and we know that's our person, that's our pick. We're just trying to reinsert some confidence back into her at this point. But at that point, I'm already like,
have some faith in yourself.
We're so fucked.
Oh, as soon as she said that, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And that's the end of part 1 of The Fate of O. But the story isn't over. In part 2, we dive into the immediate aftermath. What was it like being in that room when 200 people realized their game was over? And as a coach, I reveal the one Gallup Strengths domain, our O vibe squad, was critically missing. The fatal flaw that made the tragedy of O inevitable. Make sure you're subscribed to Squid Strengths for part 2.